Welcome to the first episode of my story. And this is going to be a very interactive session, a one-on-one session. My guest today is Lisa Muthoni, an ECD teacher, director at Toto Ongea, a mother, and so many more. Lisa, welcome on set.
Thank you very much, Michelle. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. So we dive right into it. I may have begun your introduction, but I'd like you to tell us about Lisa. In your own words, who is Lisa?
In my own words, Lisa is a woman. Lisa is a mom. Lisa is a speech therapist and an ECD teacher. And a troubled force in whatever journey we have.
Okay, a troubled force. You're reading too many comics. All right, so let's get right into it. You're here today because you have a story. You are a single parent to a beautiful baby girl. So I want us to have that conversation. Let's begin with, did you always want to be a mother?
Yes.
Why?
Aside from the myths we have that being a woman is complete when you have a child, no. I always wanted to be a mom because I loved kids. I always have loved kids. And I also just wanted to bear one on my own, or even two. Yeah, so that's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you are the child of a single parent?
Yes, I am.
The child of a single mother?
Yeah.
How was that like?
It was tough and beautiful at the same time. Tough, of course, because she's the last one in the side of her family, but the first one who got the child. So, of course, there's tough love. Izoenzi. It had to be tough love. So that's the part where it's tough. Other than that, it was beautiful because I got to get raised by my uncles and my aunties. So I was completely a community baby. Yeah, I was raised by shushu, uncle, auntie. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So, did you intend on becoming a single parent, or is it circumstance?
I did not intend on being a single parent. I am a single parent by circumstance. I got my baby in a family platform. I was married, got the baby, and then circumstances happened.
Very interested. Very interested now. So, you were married.
I was married to a very nice gentleman, if I do say. Yeah, with good genes because my baby is quite beautiful. Then shit hit the fan. It was good. We did introduction. We did all the Kikuyu steps except the Rurasho because by then I was pregnant. And then before pregnancy, it was abusive, but I was delusional. I was. So it was abusive emotionally and also now physically. Emotionally is because on very many occasions, this person would cheat. And on many occasions, because we are women, FBI and us are the same people, you'd find out. And on finding out, of course, if you ask and you demand for answers, that's now where the emotional abuse comes in. You are always one who's overthinking. And in my case, I was always one who's overthinking. And I was always insecure. There's not a single day my issues brought forth were valid. All of them had always been insecurities. So since that pattern started, I started putting a cloud on my head of insecure. So I'd start finding things that were not okay. For example, I was too small. So I was petite. Maybe the people he interacted with and wanted to be with were big, petite, but chubbier. Then from there, it went to my career. Maybe because I'm not making big money like maybe the people he's interacting with. That could be the reason. I got every type of idea on this earth. I had it. Then one day, I just tried to address that issue. And I was told, no, those are not the issues. I was actually told that he says I'm insecure just because every time maybe he's out with a female, I'd always think it was always going to be sexual or something sexual. In some cases, it wasn't. But in the cases, of course, I raised, it was. You see, because I wouldn't raise it if it isn't. So, yeah, even in the ones that were a bit sexual, flirting, and then you address it when it's at flirting, you're being told, no, it's just an honest conversation. I didn't think of it like that. Okay, so stop. Because according to me, this is flirting and it does not sit well with me. It's fine. It was okay for a few months. When we got back to the cycle. And then now I moved in to his house after a while. On moving in, we didn't stay long without me getting pregnant. I think it took us 2-3 months max. After moving in, I was pregnant. So the first time on pregnancy, we addressed something. I couldn't take the excuses that I was being given, because the thing I always say is, if you're lying, you need to be really good at it, so that if I hear a statement that I had last time, the fuses in my head are not connecting. They just don't connect and there will be an error. So I was told a statement that I've had prior. The fuse did not fuse, so it blew up. I was like, no. And I'm also pretty heated. Let's not say that in this specific situation, I was innocent, I was seated. No, I wasn't. I'd tend to push him as well. I'd speak back. I'd be sarcastic in comments. So in this specific time, it got really heated and he hit me. Now this time I'm pregnant, so I was being hit and I was hit, sat where I was, and I just looked at him and told him, do you remember I'm pregnant? Like, it should hit you, I'm pregnant, in your head. So if you want to argue with me, raise your voice or walk out. And there's even once I told him, you know what, you can even talk to the women that you always talk to. Maybe they're even better. Maybe they don't even argue, and if you lie to them, they listen, unlike me. So I got hit the first time. Kept quiet. The next time, the following day when we spoke about it, I was the problem. I was told, I'm not a source of peace in the house. I'm not submissive. And I also don't know how to keep a man at peace in the house. So I asked why. And he'd say, I'm not saying this kwa ubaya, I'm just saying it out of respect. It's also because you're from a single mom. We didn't see the upbringing of that household and how it goes, kuongelesha mzee wako and the likes. And I was like, oh, okay. And because I wanted it to work and I wanted my baby to have that household of, I have a mom and I have a dad. I started Googling, I started reading the Bible, doing YouTubes, checking on how to be a peaceful wife, how to be a hospitable wife, how to be a submissive wife. And in that, I learned, of course, but the only thing that, according to him, that kept me back was my smart mouth. Yeah, so my smart mouth was always the thing that put a line between us. So the baby came and things were okay for a hot minute. And let's even go back kidogo. Before the baby came, my baby turns 1 in March. So about now is when my baby shower was. Not now, okay, beginning of March. So this day I was told we were supposed to go somewhere, dress up nice. That day I had been craving nyama choma. So we are going for nyama choma. I was told to dress up. I've dressed up. I did not have a troublesome pregnancy. So I'm in a dress and heels. See? Posted a photo on Instagram. And one of the ladies who was after him screenshotted the photo and sent it to him. And then he had linked his WhatsApp with the PC. At that time, we were using one laptop, si sote. So I'll just log in either to my account, and before I created my account, my files are in his account. So nikiingia naangalia files naona hiyo photo and I'm like, and it's there, and then on top of that ameambiwa something and I was like, okay. So it started making sense in my head. Could this be the reason why I was told not to post my pregnancy, because of evil eye? As much as it's there, evil eye, but okay.
Let's be superstitious.
Yeah, so it was always evil eye. It was something. I couldn't post my pregnancy. When the baby was born, I could only post her like after a year or 4 years when ameanza shule. Hivyo. It was always like that. Now the irony is, on the day I saw that photo, I asked him. It's interesting how every time I post a photo of me and you, there's always some lady who has an issue with it. But if I post it, mimi hivi, nobody has an issue.
Nobody even cares.
Nobody cares. The moment you're there, there's a problem. They're like, no, you know, this person, this person is a desperate person. They don't know how to put boundaries between work and it being personal. You see? So, and I was even shown, you can see even the conversations. And then if you look at the conversations, you can see there are some parts that, but you are initiating the inappropriacy. Mm-hmm. You are actually, no, this is just a conversation based off a tweet or an Instagram reel. So when I'm like, okay, either I'm dumb, but okay, just could be I'm dumb. I don't get the level of whatever they're talking about. So on that time, I just told him, I'm not okay with it. And if this is what's going to be continuing with the child coming and everything, I need to know. So I told him it's either that, or it's either we sit and know that you want to have multiple women, so that the people who are going to be there involved in all this need to know if they want to stay or leave. And I even told him, for example, I personally, if there are multiple people, I personally want to leave. So we need to know. He's like, no, it's just, I'll handle things. By the time the baby is coming, we'll handle the things. Cool. After that, the baby came. 3 weeks into the baby being born, the gent went somewhere. And then this somewhere, he went and I was told he was somewhere different from where he was. And I even got evidence of him being somewhere different. And then on coming back, he summoned me for being insecure, calling him continuously because he wasn't answering calls. And I'm like, I'm a first-time mom, and you left me with a child that's 3 weeks. You didn't think in your head that as much as you're out there just breathing and doing all that, it didn't occur to you that there might be something. Or just, let me just check up on my wife. Or even a text, because he started talking and then went missing. And then, of course, in that specific situation, my insecurities that I was told copped in. And mine were valid. I tend to think they are. Because if you subject me to talking to women this specific way, that's what I always assume, because that's what you've shown me. So I started texting that and said, I'm not okay with the way you're missing. The last time, the few times you've been doing this and this are the places where you've been. So it's giving me that vibe. He came back and he's like, I didn't even answer your text because honestly, your insecurity is just driving me crazy. We handle this issue, but each time something like this happens, this is what you bring. And I'm like, each time, which is when? You never deal with something to completion. We only deal halfway and then put everything under the rug. Then once rug imeja and I decide the toppest is also the one that's under, tutoe hizi mbili, we deal with them. Suddenly, I'm not a source of peace in your life. So at that point, I remember refusing to take the excuses. I honestly did. And in this time, I had a reason to not to take them. Not like Kitambo. Kitambo, I would take them. I was just me and it was him. So I can take them and then eventually if shit hits the fan, I'll just leave it. I'll leave single. Now living means I live with a whole other human. And I'm living now with a different title. I'll be somebody's ex-wife. You see? So I had to at least try and ensure that he knows the weight of what he's going to be sabotaging. So all through, I was like, no, haiwezi enda hivi. Me actually nakata. So every time he'd do something, I'd call it out. And then eventually I was told it's like I have a checklist. That's what I was told. I was told it's after kitu moja, there's also another one, there's also another one, another. And I'm like, that's not a checklist. That's just me telling you of the things you should have done. In which, if you listened, you would have done them a long time and you wouldn't have felt like it's a checklist. So that's what I was told. And then the checklist included weird things. It's Lisa get married, Lisa get a child, Lisa, and I'm like, okay, are women just put in that category? That's just all we want? It's fine. It could be an achievement, yes. It's among the things I wanted, yes. But it's not a checklist. It's not like, it's something I sat down and I was like, yes, the day I get married, you see, get a child. No. I always told him, I think getting married had other boxes in between. Get married, have a first international vacation, start the first business together as a couple. There are other things, but these other things were never seen. But so I had to go with somebody else's mentality of me having a checklist. So baby came, and after the first incident, every time, me kwanza, this habit of men telling us, don't touch my phone, I'm not hiding it. Yes, you are. Sir, you're hiding. Why aren't I touching your phone? Because it's that private. Kindly. Let me take you back to school. They said, what are your private parts? But those parts are public and your phone is private. No, it does not work for me. Me, I'd check and I'd tell him, I will check. And if you delete something in my head, that is something that you're hiding. Let it stay. If it's WhatsApp, let the conversation stay there. The other newer conversation will come on top of it. Itakaa huko nyuma. You don't have to see it. So you just let it stay there. Naambiwa hapana. Sasa, you just want me to look at that conversation and get bored of it. You had the conversation, wasn't it you? You typed, right? Let it stay there. So he'd delete, and then his logic, or men logic, let's go with men logic. It's better to ask for apology than for permission. So I was told. So in this specific time, if it's a business he needed and the person he was talking to, which was always females, it just always was female. So in this time, he needs a business or help from someone. And he knew I had said no talking to this person because conversations always go like this. For him, it was better to have the conversation, asaidike, then akijulikana aseme pole. That's how it ran. It did make sense because now, to me, I wouldn't put him, or even my relationship, my marriage or my family, in that position of I have to ask for apologies. So I'm apologizing to someone who meant everything to me about someone who makes no sense. And then this person I'm apologizing on their behalf, maybe hata hiyo biashara ikujipa penye ilikuwa kujipa. So I'm here apologizing to the person. You see, it didn't make sense. So in my head, that calculation didn't come. So it was either, if I'm talking to someone about business, it was either we do business casual and no crossing the line, or we're just not doing it. Yeah. But for him, it was different, which was fine. So I stopped taking the excuses, and then this one time, the same person we had addressed, the same people actually, we spoke about, reoccurred. After a moment of silence and us thinking, but this man has actually learned. It came back, and then it cropped up with everything it had. At this time, for anybody who's not seen me before my baby, kindly take note that I was 49 kilos, a full-grown adult. I was this tiny, with no hips and no nyash and nothing. And then now I have a baby. My scale is almost hitting 70. I had the flattest tummy, and now I have stretch marks in that tummy. My brain could not fathom. I could not understand. I didn't know how to dress my new body or even accept my new body at this point. And then especially the stretch marks, because I did not show until month 7. Month 7, I slept, woke up, and my stomach was there. For some reason, it was there. So I stretched and all that. So I remember talking to my then husband, telling him, my body, it's changed. I'm not comfortable. I don't know how to dress it. My tummy was dark for the longest time. I was like, what? Why? Nothing fits anymore. So that means I have to have a new wardrobe. I didn't feel okay. I liked the thickness. I just didn't like the additional stretch marks, the tummy. What do you do with that? Telling this man, there were days he was okay. There were days he wasn't. So there's this one time he asked me, Kwani, when you are pregnant, you didn't think that it comes with a new body and you should have prepared for it the same way you prepared for the baby. Hey. And let me tell you, I was like, you know what? I won't even speak about it anymore. You know what? Yeah, it's true. I should have thought about it. I'm sorry I did not. That's very inconsiderate of me, talking to my husband about it. Now, in this specific situation, he'd validate other women's bodies, but would have a problem validating mine.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. So women would send nudes and everything. And then he'd say, I'm not the one who asked for the photos. They just sent it. I was like, that's okay. But how about you that's validating, commenting, you look so nice. If you comment me of something I did that you didn't want, I'll continue.
I think you left me at the point where he was accepting other people's nudes.
Yes.
Let alone validating,
Yes.
accepting.
Yes. And validating. And me, I'm seated saying and complaining of my new body.
And somehow you should have thought about
Yeah,
this
I
new
should.
body.
Yeah, I should have actually. You see. So I think it hit me, and it hit me very bad. So from then, everything, I didn't start feeling nice about motherhood the first few weeks. Everything just started going downhill in my head. And everyone around me, him included, would say it's postpartum depression. In my head, I'm like, So if you don't understand what I feel after I've had a baby, it's postpartum depression. I also communicated what I feel, but because you refuse to understand it and see it from my angle, it's postpartum depression.
I think we throw that term around.
Yeah.
A bit too much.
Yeah, everything anyone, a woman goes through, it has to have something. Tunanyesha, it's postpartum.
When you're crying.
You're emotional. Stop making the decisions so emotional.
Stop making it a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. You're overreacting. We always have labels. The irony is, no man is ever told, that's too logic, and I don't like that. It's never that. It's actually, patriarchy is always the best way of thinking and the most perfect way of thinking. That's how it is.
To be fair, they did create that system, so it's been around longer.
Yeah. So everyone went with, I was depressed.
Sure.
You see? And I believed now I was depressed. Because if the person you're sleeping with and married with, too, rather, tells you that you're that, and they continuously tell you so, of course, it now becomes a norm to you. But on Googling postpartum and how I should feel, and I'm like, I don't feel any of this. I honestly don't. I just don't think it's a big deal if I told my husband my body feels this way and you just validated my body. And it's not a must for you to validate it, but at least recognize whatever I'm feeling. Understand that You are tiny and now you're not. I'm 2-3 sizes up from 4 and 6. I'm now 10, 12. That's a change. So understand it. And if you won't understand, listen, let me feel hard. But those are not the things that I would say I sat down and felt so. But ikikuja pahali, babe, maziwa yangu nasikia ni kama imepunguka. Hey, did you eat enough? Did you take the lactating cookies? Are they finished? Should we tuongeze? Ama ninja hey. Then if you sit down and eat njahe, my weight went up. I'm like, you people are not understanding me. Sina shida na kugain these kilos. Can you people at least tell me that it's okay? Like, pause me and tell me it's okay. You just went through something beautiful and this is the result. And it's not bad. It's not. You housed a human. So these are the changes that come with it. And now this is what's called motherhood, and this is how it's supposed to look. And yours is not the same as this one's or that one's. So I never got those validations. But every woman around him did. Everyone actually just did. And when you ask that, it's just a conversation. I didn't mean it like that. As you can see, I'm not asking them to send me any more photos.
Anymore?
Like, okay.
More?
Yeah. Because the first ones were sent, and according to him, I did not ask for them. But you are validating the body, you're complimenting the body. So if you do that, any woman in this planet, if I send you photos and you do that, I will be psyched to send you more. And you will still do that. And your compliments will go louder and louder and louder and louder. So I explained this to him and I was like, that's how we work. That's how we are created. So you might not be doing it with the intention of having something with them, but they will get the entitlement of something should be there. And in that point, that's why we're always calling people, I come to you as a woman. Yeah, the irony is I've done that as well. Yeah. Yeah, I did. I went to another woman. Actually 2. Was it 3?
Hey, you've gone to women as a woman.
Let's just say, yeah. Yeah. So, and now after that, after being labeled depressed, postpartum depression.
And insecure.
Oh yeah, and I'm insecure. And I'm always overreacting, overthinking, over everything that has over is me. With time now, that combined with the me stopping to taking excuses, eventually the fights got louder. The silent treatment got louder. The me being okay not talking to this person also got longer. I was okay. Like in my head, I was just okay. You're talking to me? Okay. You're not? Okay. That's what I got. And then one day, this person showed me that they've changed and this is not the dynamics they want the child to have. So I was like, okay, let's give it a chance. And no. Yani, I came to realize if you give someone 100 chances, I think men just realize that shit has hit the fan on chance 105, and at 105 you are done 5 chances ago. You see, so that's where it got. And on leaving, we were physical and physical for physical. I would be hit, kidole inavunjika, I'd have a bleeding nose, busted lip. I had all that. My hair pulled, dragged across. And in all that, as much as the heavier part is on his end, my smart mouth also did play a part. You'd say something and I'll answer it sarcastically. I'd jibisha vizuri. I'd push you. There's even one point I spat at him. I spat literally across his face. And even abused him. And at that point, I was just trying to do anything but to him to feel the hurt equally as mine. because I'm now dealing with being a new mom and feeling like I'm doing it alone, being cheated on, whether it's physical or not physical, I'm being cheated on. And then on top of that, I'm now dealing with being hit. And now every time I'd have to go out in the open, I'd have to have a lie ready. Kidole ikivunjika, I had a big dog. He had a very big dog, a Rottweiler. A dog on standing was my height. He was heavy. So, when I was hit and my finger literally came off, I told everybody I was playing with the dog and the dog pushed me down the stairs and nikaanguka.
What about the busted lip?
I fell. So ilikuwa kwa kuanguka kwa stairs. Those are the injuries that came.
Very well planned out. Okay.
Because I wouldn't go around saying, no, I nilirudishia bwana yangu, so in turn he found it fit to hit me because I was not taking, you see? Then saying that and then ukikumbuka unaambiwa you're not a peaceful wife. Or submissive, you see? So those things come in handy. So I left. I actually left. And on leaving, it wasn't pretty nice. I told my mother-in-law that the son used to hit me. And with a straight face, she told me, nivumilie. Marriage inakuanga hivyo. Marriage is actually just kuvumilia. And then in this case, she knew I was the short-tempered one. So she'd say, nakujua we have the same temperament. So it could be when unakasirika haraka. In such cases, what I do, I tone down. I tone down, then I'll address it the following day. I was like, well, okay. I think that happened round 1, and then round 2, and I was like, this compound is just filled of insane people.
Very toxic people.
So when that happened, I still told her the second time, and this time I actually just hoped that he'd actually just talk to the son. If they did, I don't know. Because if they did, and he still did it again, it didn't make sense to me. So the next time when I actually now told him, the mom and the dad, that I actually wanted to leave, the dad called and said that I shouldn't leave that compound. Sababu, the day they went to get me from my mom, they knew it was supposed to be lasting forever and ever. So, tusifanye kama hiyo safari ikae ni kama it wasn't worthwhile. And I told him, I also expected to stay forever, but your son is not acting according to the way I want. So I'm not going to stay somewhere where I've talked and talked and talked and it's just not going as I would want as well. And he told me to stop making decisions while emotional.
Sure, it's your fault. You're emotional, sure.
So the rest of the conversation, I won't tell you what he said next, but from there, I remember that being a trigger because this is someone who's elderly and telling me not to be emotional, not seeing that the child actually just could be a reason for wao kuniendea nyumbani and me wanting to go back.
The child is the reason.
You see, if the compound was happy, when we were okay, I didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
The things have persisted, the things have been there over and over, and I want to leave, and that's just how it goes. And then that day came, and once he said that, it just rang in my mind, unajua nini? Now I then want to leave.
Yeah.
Now, because of that statement, I want everyone to know, yes,
I'm leaving.
Yes, and I am an emotional being. And if you have a problem with that, fight me. Just plain and simple. So, there's this day he hit me while the house help was home. And the house help was the one who pushed him away from me. And in that situation, in the physical position we were at, I beat him. And I beat him really hard. Right here. I'm sure till today he has the scar.
Like with the teeth?
Yeah, I beat him.
Okay, beware.
Nilimuuma vibaya sana actually. And on that day, with the whole situation, he took my child, because we were told as parents, as new parents and newlyweds, whenever you're fighting, fight, but be sure not to subject your child into that environment. It made sense, that's fine. In my
Difficult
head,
as it is.
yes. In my head, in such a situation, I'm not assuming you'll take our child and take them to your brothers or the shosho. No, I'm assuming if you are fighting in the bedroom, just make sure that the child is in the sitting room, napping or doing something.
Yeah.
Or if the sitting room, make sure the child is in the bedroom, doors closed and all. But this man literally would take the child to the grandmother or the brother. So in this specific situation, he took the child up to the grandma, and the grandma, I don't know what waliambiana, but he told me unaweza toka uende, and I was like, bet. Kaambia haya, give me my child niende. Kaambia hapana, mtoto ulipatia huku ni wa huku. It's true. I have no argument with that. However, the child is young and still breastfeeding.
I mean, I do.
So
I have very many opinions about it.
So kindly, what exactly do you want to tell me? That leaving you means I have to leave a child?
Yeah.
Why? I birthed the child. If anything, I have the right to the child. I birthed the child with your help, but I birthed the child. So you choose. So I was like, okay, mi natoka. You want me to leave? Cool. I want to get my child. Kinda, I'm going to the mom. The mom is holding my daughter, yes. And on going kumshika, she literally turned for me not to touch my daughter. The psychoness in my body went from 0 to 2000.
Very fast.
Quick, fast.
Very fast.
And in a hurry. The child I birthed was with the grandmother. On holding, she's literally turning. I stood for a minute and I had to question myself. Am I going crazy? Or did I just see that? You see? So nikaenda kumchukua tena and she also still turned. And I stood and I looked at her and I don't know if that's what she saw, but my eye contact was so bitter. At that point, I was just like, I feel like you should joke with anything, just not the child. Eventually, nikamchukua, and then when the dad saw nimechukua mtoto, he's like, then come home, let's talk. Like, oh, so you want to talk to me, but when you've taken the child to your mom, there's no room for speech. I was like, and I told him, if we are talking, I am holding my child all through. I don't want to know. He's like, no, because every time we have heated arguments, that's when you want to breastfeed. I'm like, and every time we have heated arguments, that's when you realize you have a mom and you want to take our child to your mom. So I'm just doing the same thing, only that at this time I'm the one who's breastfeeding. So yeah. So we spoke, yes. And it didn't go well. Because hata nikiwa hapo na mtoto, I put her down to sleep and I was still hit at that point. I still was, actually. And I was like, you know what, it's okay. So on this day I was hit while my nanny saw. I just called my mom and told my mom, unajua nini ma, I want to go to the cops. And my mom knew of the dynamics we had, because every time I'd vent to my best friend. Shout out to my best friend, because without that woman, I don't know how to have made it out. So one day I told my best friend venye nimechapwa, I've been strangled. I literally knew I was going to die because of how hard the nini was. And she was like, you know what? No, I actually feel in my gut that if you stay there any long, I'm going to lose you. That's all she said. The next time she texted me is, I've told mom everything. And I'm like, what? Hold up. Excuse me, what? It's all that. I was so tense and so afraid of my life. And then at this point, I'm like,
No, you're embarrassed.
I wasn't even embarrassed. It's knowing my mom.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to jail.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to jail. She will whoop everybody. What? Immediately she called me and I could hear her voice shake. And I was like, Mom, hata usikuje, I'm coming. I'll just come because I also need to leave. At that time, my hubby is also skeptical. Because anajua, ukitoka unaenda wapi una nini.
Unaweza kosa kurudi.
Yeah, such things. So I left, my nanny is there. So I left and I'm like, I'll be back. Nimeenda kwa mom dakika kadhaa. He didn't know that my mom knows any of it. So I left, I went, spoke to my mom. My mom looked at me and asked me, what exactly makes you feel so small to endure all that? And I was like, what do you mean? My mom is like, at your age, the things you're doing, the spaces you are creating, whether they're visible now, they eventually will be. You should not at any one point let anyone dim your light to that specific point. And I asked her, what do you mean? How is my light dimmed? Like, you no longer focus on Totonge as much as you would. Now you're just always chasing clients. And no matter the number of clients you have, you're always complaining like you don't have enough money. On top of that, I do charity work. You've not done charity work for the longest time. Your sense of going out has changed. Your sense of style, the people you hang around with, the things you do, even the way you communicate, the confidence you had, you literally talk. My mom always says, naka kuongelesha president na umwambie, excuse me sir, except not honorable dear, you see. And I was like, people have noticed that I have changed. And the worst thing was my mom noticed it and then my best friend noticed it. My best friend would just call or even text and ask me, are you okay? We have a hangout, are you coming? And this hangout would be even a week later. Like nimeambiwa weeks before, just to ensure that I've asked for permission early enough. Because if I say it tena impromptu, it's a problem. You see, my dress sense of style changed because if you expose yourself too much, when you be to. If you out past this specific hour, what will people think and say? All that changed. The way I communicated, I now was back to putting my emotions in a bottle. If you hurt me, I'd rather slit my throat than tell you that this is what you did to me. And prior, I would always say, Michelle, you did this and this, and this is how I interpreted it. So for us not to have bad blood, would you tell me how you meant it? If you meant it the way I thought, I'll just tell you next time, just be a bit sensitive to 1, 2, 3 things. And that's it. Now I'll just stop talking to you because I'm afraid to tell you what you did, how it hurt me, it might bring. We might bump heads. And I also did that even in my marriage. So he'd do something and I'm afraid of being told I'm not submissive, I'm insecure, I'm overthinking. So they'd always just sit and sit and sit. See, so on this day, I just told my mom, you know what, Mom? I want to leave. So give me 2 weeks. My mom is like, I'm giving you exactly 2 weeks. If it's not 2 weeks, I'm coming to get you and coming to get you with my uncle. So my uncles played the role of my dad. Yeah. So I was like, it's okay, I got it. Then I wrote a P3, actually. I actually did because I had a scar. I had the marks of being strangled. And I reported. On reporting, I was told now to go on a different day, not to go to children's service. Just in the same police station. So that's what I did. I went, I reported. And everyone there, there's this mentality that goes around in government places that young people should always vumilia. I don't know. I don't know what it is with being young na kuvumilia. What is it being young and struggling? Why? I don't get it. But the lady I spoke to was a very nice lady, but she also still had the same mentality. But when I'm mdogo, don't you just think these are things, labda uende kwa mom for a few months, he'll get ataelewa? And I'm like, why? Why am I punishing him to that extent? Exactly. If I leave, I want to leave because of me, not because that I'm going ndio mtu mwingine alana lesson, no?
Yeah.
See, so I explained my story. I said the situation is very physical. The lady for once asked, "Na wewe, what role do you play?" And I told her, sorry, I'll push him at times. I even told her I spat on his face and called him very many names. And she asked me, "Don't you think that's a reason to be hit?" I told her with a plain face, no. I have situations where I want to hit him with a pan. I don't hit him with the pan. So why should he hit me?
You want to strangle him too sometimes.
Exactly. And I don't do so. I have very many situations where I also have things I don't want to do. I wouldn't, number one, because I respect him and me and the dynamic that we have. So she went on and asked, now because let's say, for example, tumuulize and he says he hit you because of what you did. Do you think that that's a talkable situation? And I'm like, no. Because I'm not going to get better than that, actually. Matter of fact, I'll be worse. Worse than that. So if I was being hit because of that, then this one, he'll start cutting me.
Yeah.
And also me, because of your bitterness, and over time, some more might happen. I'll also get from pushing him to hitting him, and none of us are better at that point. It doesn't make sense. So I'd rather leave. And he's like, that's fair. So she asked me, how old is the child? She was a few months then. So you want to leave? Yes. You'll have to report to the children and all that. Okay. So since she had recorded it, she just took me to the office and we played whatever I said, and he was summoned and I was also summoned, and we were to come, I think a day later for that. I couldn't go back to his house.
You just ratted him out.
Yep. So I had to go back to my mom. And those were the most longest hours on this universe for me. I was breastfeeding, remember? My boobs hurt. They were stony because I hadn't breastfed the whole day since I left. And usiku, remember? So it's like today being a Monday, we were to go back on Wednesday. Kerere yangu na kukasirisha ilifanya nikaenda kwa makarao at 11 a.m. So I can't go back to his house. So I have to stay today, tomorrow, and then go back on Wednesday. Exactly. So we went, tukaskizwa, and at this point I was so surprised by whatever this man said. Alisema, apana, the guy who was listening, there were two people who were listening, a gent and a lady. My ex bluntly said, apana, huyu kenye namsumbua ni postpartum depression.
There it goes.
I was too stunned to speak. What? Yeah, ni postpartum, unajua. And then the gentleman listening is also agreeing. Ati yenyewe wawili mnakaa bado mnapendana. I was like, okay. So at this point I just asked, can I speak? I was like, yeah. I was like, sitakata na statement yako. This man, I love him and I would love him to death. But I can love him and leave him. That's just how it goes, and that's how life works. We have parents and relatives who are toxic. Doesn't mean we hate them, we love them. But we want to love them from afar. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to be with him. But I loved him enough and still do to have a child with him, and even to want to parent my daughter with him. Because this is our child. And then I added on top of that, at that time, he was looking for contracts. He runs a company. So he was looking for contracts. And at that time, he was not as successful kuzipata, which was fine with me. I'll hold fort until party. So that I had to go back to work earlier than we had planned with my ex. I had to now take care of him, take care of me, ensure the nanny is paid, take care of our daughter, and take care of the household. And I'm still a new mom. So I'm also getting to understand, how do you go to work and come back home and be a parent? How do you parent when tired? How do you even parent when sick? All those. So I just told this gentleman that was listening, so in all that I've mentioned, please explain to me where I have the time to be depressed. I might be, that's fine. But according to how I know depression, I don't think I am. I communicate what I feel. I explain what I feel. I communicate my needs. I'm happy. I'm not understanding why I'd be termed as depressed. So he's like, it's okay. So he listened, and it was stated that the child was too small at the time. So I am the primary custodian. But my ex has unlimited access to the daughter. So I remember telling him when we left that room, ukisikia leo 7 a.m. you want to see your daughter, text us. In the next 30 minutes, your child shall be ready. It didn't matter to me because I wanted him to be present. His choice of not being present is a choice he made, not I made. Because I've seen very many people co-parent and do it perfectly. So that's what I decided. However, the term is changing now and shifting more to the co-parenting, which I feel like there should be a manual for. But yeah, so far that's how it is.